Howdy, folks! Thank you so much for joining me today. This is 11-year-old from Zephyr Epic coming to you with another box opening video. Before we begin, I just want to say if you're a Canadian resident who's a fan of all things trading cards, please follow the link in the description below to check out ZephyrEpic.com for incredible deals on cards, accessories, box breaks, and beyond. Today, we are going to be opening a box of Phyrexia All-Will-Be-One collector booster packs. Noteworthy foil treatments that can be found in this set include Borderless Ichor, Borderless Manga, Step-and-Compleat Foil, Borderless Concept Art, and Phyrexian language cards. This is a great set. It's bomb heavy, it's going to be impactful in Pioneer, EDH, possibly Modern. People are very excited for it, and it appears to be a very powerful and fun, as well as balanced, sealed format. So that would be the draft format and any kind of sealed events. There are some crazy cards that you can get out of this set. Obviously, most notably, you're going to see the Elesh Norn, which doubles ETB triggers and halves ETB triggers to your opponents, that some people are already calling to get banned from EDH because of its power level. But we'll see. Time does tell with these sort of things. Without further ado, though, let's get into this box opening and see what we get here. I've been patiently awaiting this set for quite some time now, and I know that many of you have as well. Let's see if these packs open a little bit easier than the Dominaria remastered packs that we opened just recently. We'll keep those right there for everybody to see. And I'll have my scissors ready to go just in case, because you never know, do you? Okay, so let's go ahead and open this. Now, if I'm not mistaken, every pack should include a Step-and-Compleat foil. Oh, luckily there's a pull tab here. That's great. Now, those Step-and-Compleat foils do range quite a bit. And I do believe that these packs are backwards. So that's something that we did see in a few of the recent printings. I believe that's just based on where they were actually produced. So let's go ahead and start cracking this open. Starting things off, we'll go slow with the commons, but then we'll get a little bit quicker as we get deeper into it. So right here we have Charge of the Mites. It's a 2 and a white. Choose one. Charge of the Mites deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control to target creature or planeswalker, or create 2 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Mite artifact creature tokens with Toxic, and this creature can't block. Toxic is very important for this set. The point being is that it effectively brings poison back into standard. And as people may know, poison is a very frustrating thing to deal with on the battlefield. Once you have 10 poison counters, you are dead, and you cannot continue to play the game. So it is troublesome. Glistener Seer enters the battlefield with 3 oil counters on it. Remove an oil counter from Glistener Seer and scry 1. And we have Chimney Rabble. Haste, Chimney Rabble enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 red Phyrexian goblin creature token. The Dross Pit, so there's a full cycle of lands right in this set that are similar to this. You get to sacrifice it to draw a card. And then we have Plated Onslaught, Affinity for Artifacts, which is always cool. Creatures you control get +2/+1 until end of turn. Slaughter Singer, I should say. So it costs Selesnya. It's got Toxic 2. Whenever a creature you control with Toxic attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So that might prove to be a pretty viable card when it comes to standard. And we've got our Swamp there. Beautiful artwork featuring a nice image of new Phyrexia. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Vindictive Flamestoker. 1 mana rare, 1/2. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter on Vindictive Flamestoker. So 6 and a red, sacrifice Vindictive Flamestoker, discard your hand, then draw 4 cards. This ability costs 1 less for each oil counter on Vindictive Flamestoker. That's a pretty cool ability. There's some unique things that you can do here where if you wheel at the right time, you might be able to draw into more oil-producing stuff, possibly more of these. So pretty cool little rare there. So let's keep that separated in our rare pile. And let's see the order here. We got a full art card here. Borderless, I should say. Permanent cards in graveyards can't enter the battlefield. Players can't cast non-creature spells from graveyards or exile. Pretty cool way of being able to hold back anyone who's trying to do some kind of recursion. That's pretty sweet. Next up, we got Kinzu of Bleak Coven. This will be from the main set, yeah. So I imagine that there's a slot in these packs for the commander deck cards. Flying, 4 and a black, legendary creature. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may pay 2 life and exile it. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's a 1/1 and has Toxic 1. Pretty cool ability there. Obviously, there's some broken ways that you can really abuse that, so I'm curious to see what people end up doing with that card. And then we have Blightbelly Rat, and that will be one of our one of our Ichor cards, if I'm not mistaken. So Toxic 1, Blightbelly Rat dies, proliferate. Nice common card there. And then we have Bonepicker Scourge. Kind of similar, it's got the Ichor foil. As long as your opponent has 3 or more poison counters, it has Death Touch and Lifelink. Pretty notable card. You know what? It's funny. It reminds me of Bonepicker, the card itself. I believe it was from... Oh, I want to say it was Amonkhet, and it may have been one of the core sets. But fantastic card. When a creature dies, pay 1 black, and you can cast it, and it's a 3/3 flyer. But yeah, it does remind me of that card, not just because of the name. And then we have our Thrumming Bird. This is one of our first ones here with the Step-and-Compleat Foil. So if you look at that closely, you can actually see the symbols for Phyrexia, which is pretty cool. Fabulous art, and it's nice and shiny. I gotta say, this is foiling I've never really seen before. It's well, I guess we'll see if this is the direction where Wizards of the Coast will be heading moving forward, but it's definitely unique and definitely very cool. So let's keep that separated for now. Next we have Unctus Grand Metatect. Pretty cool little blue card here. Legendary artifact creature, Phyrexian Vidalcan, and this will be a borderless Ichor card. Other blue creatures you control have, whenever this creature becomes tapped, draw a card, then discard a card. Other artifact creatures you control get +1/+1, always great. And you can pay blue Phyrexian mana until end of turn target creature you control becomes blue artifact in addition to its other colors and types. Activate only as a sorcery. Next up, we have, oh, very cool. So this is I believe this is the borderless concept art. Yes, that's right. You know what? This is the borderless manga art. That's what it is. Kaya, Intangible Slayer. Very cool how the artwork goes right over the writing and everything in the title there. As some of you may know, this is a very powerful card. Even at 7 mana, the fact that it has hexproof makes it tough to kill. It starts with 6 loyalty, which is insane. Each opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. That's its +2 ability, not even a +1. For 0, you can draw 2 cards, then each opponent may scry 1. And -3, exile target creature or enchantment. If it wasn't an aura, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 1/1 white spirit with flying in addition to its other types. So what that means is you can effectively kill one of your opponent's best things and then get a copy of it so it benefits you instead. Very sweet, very sweet. So, and then we've got our nice token here, Phyrexian Might, Koth, Fire of Resistance. So I'm going to go ahead and take a second. We'll just sleeve up this Kaya here. Definitely one of our biggest hits so far. And we'll leave those rares just off to the side there. And moving forward, I plan to speed a little bit through some of these packs as far as commons and uncommons go. But we do recommend that you go ahead and check out the set lists online if you are curious about them. And yeah. Okay, so we got Gitaxian Anatomist there. Anatomist, I should say. Bladegraft Aspirant. It's never going to be easy to read magic cards, is it? Menace equipment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Activate abilities of equipment you control. The target Bladegraft Aspirant costs 1 less to activate. Very cool, very cool. Offer Immortality. Okay. Prophetic Prism. We all know this card. It's been reprinted to Oblivion, but always handy to have in a set. Then we got Unctus's Retrofitter. You know, Unctus. There he is, right there. Very cool. So we got our uncommon there. And then we're going to get into Cacophony Scamp. This is a 1/1, 1 red pip. Deals combat damage to a player. You may sacrifice it, and if you do, proliferate. Always handy. When it dies, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. Kind of a double whammy there. There's one of our Phyrexian lands. Very sweet. Ooh, Nissa Ascended Animist. This is probably, arguably, the most powerful planeswalker in this set. It can do some pretty insane things. Obviously, this completed ability is very powerful. Create an XX green Phyrexian horror creature token where X is Nissa Ascended Animist's loyalty. Destroy target artifact or enchantment for -1. And until end of turn, creatures you control get +1/+1 for each forest you control and gain trample. So the notable thing that you can do here is you can cast it, and then you can use this overrun ability right away. And if you're already late game enough, I mean, shoot, even if it's just for the 7 that it costs, all your creatures are getting +7/+7 and trample if they're all forests. So it's a pretty nuts ability. Okay, and then we're going to go on to Blue Sun's Twilight. This whole cycle is insane. Gain control of target creature with mana value X or less. If X is 5 or more, create a token that's a copy of that creature. So you get to steal the creature and get to copy it if it's 5 or more. Which, I mean, anyone who plays Magic knows. Stealing, copying, pretty busted stuff there. Kemba's Banner. So this will be one of the cards from the commander decks here. So it's got the ability for Mirrodin. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each creature you control. Quicksilver Fisher in the Ichor. Rustvine Cultivator in Foil Ichor. Rustvine Cultivator, and this will be the nice Step-and-Compleat Foil. Very cool. Tyvar. So there's another one. Wow, look at that. Borderless Manga card. Pretty insane artwork on that. You may activate abilities of creatures you control as those creatures had haste. So that's great for tapping your little buddies there. Untap up to 1 target creature and mill 3 cards. Then you may return a creature card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So pretty sweet little card there. Nice pickup. And then we have Lux Artillery, which is the foil borderless card. Again, this would be from the commander decks. Then we got our Goblin Rebel. Okay, so we'll just sleeve up these 2 cards real quick here. And then we're going to move on to our next packs. Okay, so let's just fly through the commons here. We're not going to spend too much time on cards that people don't really care about. So we got Eye of Malcator, Vanish into Eternity, which is some of my favorite art in the set. We got Elspeth, who's blowing up the Silex there in her hands as she planeswalks away. Pretty cool little bit of lore. Stinging Hive Master, Ruthless Predation, Armored Scrap Gorger, Viral Spawning, and there's our Phyrexian land. There's the Tyvar that we were just showing off there. So you can see the different artwork and how vastly different they are. This is a reimagined card if it was Phyrexian. So this character has not turned into a Phyrexian yet, but pretty cool to get both versions of it so that we can really show off what the set contains. Green Sun's Twilight. This is one of the most sought after cards in the set, in my opinion. It'll let you just slam out a giant creature from your deck. So this card is just fantastic to get borderless here. Hexblade Wallbreaker, again from the commander decks. So it's got for Mirrodin, equipped creature gets +2/+2. As you can imagine, this deck is a equipment deck. Whenever equipped creature attacks, if it's the first combat phase of the turn, untap each attacking creature. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. So very sweet. Always cool to get multiple combats. There's our Furnace Punisher. There's Blightbelly Rat again in the foil Ichor. And this is Miglow's Maze Crusher. This is going to be in that nice Step-and-Complete foil. Very cool. So this is an oil counter abuser, you can call it. Pretty sweet little thing to get in draft. And you can really build around it with the oil counters. Wow, look at that. Jace the Perfected Mind. Just a fantastic card. And you can see there in the artwork that he's actually holding Luxior, which is the sword that Elspeth got when she was visiting New Capenna. So this is a fantastic mythic. Very cool. Obviously, this thing is just busted in draft or sealed. Being able to mill out your opponent's 40-card deck for 3 times X. So right away, you get it in, and 15 cards off the top of their deck. Pretty detrimental for them. Last card, Zopendel. Nice. Hunger Dominus. Okay, so there's a full line of these cards in this set. They're all Phyrexian horrors. They're legendary creatures, and they all do just insane things. So this one actually, at the beginning of combat, gets to double the power and toughness of each creature you control until the end of turn. I mean, do I even need to explain it? Doubling the power of each creature you control. Shoot, even if you have 1/1s, It's a pretty insane ability, and in the right deck, it can easily be abused. All right, so let's get this sleeved up here. We'll sleeve up Tyvar as well. And we'll go ahead and sleeve up Miglos too. It's a pretty sweet little card here. And we had this guy, so I'm going to go ahead and sleeve this one too, because I'm unsure, but this looks like whenever you cast an artifact creature that gains Sunburst. Sunburst is a pretty cool ability, so let's go ahead and get that sleeved up there. All right, so moving into the next pack here. They can't just make it easy for us, could they? No, you have to have some fun with it. Okay, Zealot's Conviction. Zealot's Conviction. Hazardous Blast. Cutthroat Centurion. Predation Steward. Annex Sentry. Churning Reservoir. There's our mountain. Nice full art land there. Vron, Executioner Thane. Very sweet little card there. And Mirren Safe House. Serum Sovereign. Another borderless card. Phyrexian Sphinx. There's another Thrumming Bird. And then there's another Thrumming Bird in just the foil. There's a Furnace Punisher in that Step-and-Compleat. Venser Corpse Puppet, which is just horrifying artwork, I have to say. Lifelink Toxic 1. Whenever you proliferate, choose one. If you don't control a creature named the Hollow Sentinel, create the Hollow Sentinel, a legendary 3/3 colorless Phyrexian Golem artifact creature token. Target artifact creature you control gains flying and lifelink until end of turn. So, I mean, hey, if you're proliferating, some cool stuff you can do with Venser here. Last but not least, the very cool Slowbad Iron Goblin. Tap, sacrifice an artifact, add an amount of red mana equal to the sacrificed artifact's mana value. Spend this mana only to cast artifact spells or to activate abilities of artifacts. In the right deck, I believe that this card is just going to be insane. I am curious to see if anybody I know builds a deck around it as far as EDH goes. I think that would be pretty sweet to see what can happen with Slowbad there. Okay, let's move forward here with our next pack. Okay, here we go. Going through our commons, Complete Devotion, Bring the Ending, Shieldred's Head Cleaver, the Autonomous Furnace, Necrosquito, Incubation Sac, nice swamp there. There's our Venser in the regular artwork, pretty sweet. Blade of Shared Souls, Lux Artillery, there's another one, non-foil, borderless. Blightbelly Rat. Bonepicker Scourge. Sawblade Scamp. Graz, Unstoppable Juggernaut. Pretty sweet card here. This is actually a Juggernaut commander, so it lets you build an entire deck of Juggernaut, which is pretty cool because who knew that there was so many Juggernaut fans out there? And last but not least, Mind Splice Apparatus. I think this card is really awesome. At the beginning of your upkeep, put an oil counter on it. Instant sorcery spells cost 1 less to cast for each oil counter on Mind Splice Apparatus. Obviously pretty powerful. Reducing the cost of your stuff is obviously great. There's our Samurai and our Phyrexian Might. Escaped Experiment. Hexgold Slash. Draw Skull Bomb. This new cycle of Skull Bombs is pretty sweet artwork, I have to say. It sees with the ambition of a ruthless gladiator. Very cool. Oil Gorger Troll. Apostle of Invasion. Against All Odds. Wow, look at that artwork. That is just fantastic. Cool. There's our planes. Red Sun's Twilight, similar to the Twilight that I showed you before, but this one, X5 or more, destroy X artifacts, and and then you get to create copies of those artifacts, which is pretty sweet. Monument of Perfection, which has a surprising resemblance to some sort of Eldrazi. Interesting to say. There is actually the lead commander in one of the commander decks, so pretty cool. Scion of Atraxa, Ixhel. Flying Vigilance, Toxic 2, and it's got Corrupted at the beginning of your end step. Each opponent who has 3 or more poison counters exiles the top card of their library face down. You may look at and play those cards for as long as they remain exiled. You may spend mana as though it's mana of any color to cast those spells. So obviously you need to have the actual corrupted stuff going on, but could be very powerful. Urbrask's Anointer. And again. And wow, look at that. Kemba Ka Enduring. Very sweet. So that's going to be, I think, our first Step-and-Compleat Foil rare. But very cool. So we'll sleeve that one up after there. And wow, the brand new Atraxa. This card is insane. Atraxa Grand Unifier. Flying Vigilance, Death Touch, Lifelink. I personally am a big fan of the original Atraxa. So it costs 3, and then it's a green, white, blue, and black pip. When it enters the battlefield, reveal the top 10 cards of your library for each card type. You may put a card of that type from among the revealed cards into your hand. Put the rest at the bottom of your order. Of your library in a random order. Very sweet card. And obviously a very popular new commander. And last, Othari, Sun's Glory, legendary creature Phoenix, flying, lifelink, haste, 3, and Boros. When it attacks, you get an experience counter, then create a 2/2 rebel creature token that's tapped and attacking for each experience counter you have. Very cool. Tap an untapped rebel you control, return it from the graveyard to the battlefield tap, which is where the actual Phoenix side of it comes in. So that's pretty sweet itself too. And there's our Phyrexian Horror and Phyrexian Might. So we got a few to sleeve there. That was a pretty sweet little pack. A few mythics, or a couple mythics, I should say, that are pretty notable. And as well as this nice Kemba. So we're just going to put that pile right there and continue along here. We're about halfway through this box. And looking fine. Okay, what do we have here? Looks like we have 5 packs left, so this is exactly the halfway point. Leonin Lightbringer, Bone Picker Scourge, I spoke about earlier, Molten Rebuke, Maze Skull Bomb, another one of the cool Skull Bombs that you can get, Chittering Skitterling, which is just one of the funniest names that has to be in this set. Urbrask's Anointer. There's our Phyrexianized Island. There's the Kemba that I was just showing you there. So again, there's the variant artwork of it. So pretty sweet. We'll let it focus up a little bit. Cool card, cool card. And there's our Mind Splice Apparatus. Norn's Decree, which decrees, some of the best art in the set, I do declare. So you can see a few of the Phyrexianized Planeswalkers there. A Johnny looking real beastie. We all don't really know what happened to him, except that we know that Elesh Norn really has his claws, or her claws, into him now, as you can see in his outfit, which is almost identical to hers. So pretty cool artwork. Sawblade Scamp. Cankerbloom. Necrogen Rot Priest. Cool. Glissa, Sunslayer. Nice legendary there. Phyrexian Zombie Elf. And last in the pack, Argentum Masticore. First strike protection from multicolored. One of the cool things about Masticores, they tend to have protection from something. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Argentum Masticore unless you discard a card. When you discard a card this way, destroy target non-land permanent and opponent controls with mana value less than or equal to the mana value of the discarded card. So that's pretty cool little ability. I'm sure that there's ways that you can really, get the advantage over your opponent with that, even if you're, even though you're discarding cards there. Okay, last few packs here. So I'm just gonna fly through these commons because we disregard commons. And there's a nice land, though. So again, you get to have this enter tapped, and you can sack them later to draw cards, which is actually pretty efficient. Phyrexian Wizard, Atmosphere Surgeon, Tainted Observer. Wow, look at the 3 heads on that thing. I would not want to run into that. There's our Forest. There's Thrun, one of my favorite cards from the set. I'm a huge fan of Thrun. He just survives it all. This spell can't be countered. Trample. Can't be the target of non-green spells your opponent controls or abilities from non-green sources your opponent's controls. For as long as it's your turn, it has indestructible. Pretty tough to kill that guy. There's Zenith Chronicler. Whenever a player casts their first multicolored spell each turn, each other player draws a card. Pretty efficient. Monumental Corruption. Target player draws X cards and loses X life, where X is the number of artifacts you control. Sinew Dancer. Sawblade Scamp. Wow. Capricious Hellraiser in the Step-and-Compleat Foil. Very powerful mythic from the set. The spell costs 3 less cast if you have 9 or more cards in your graveyard. It's flying, Phyrexian Dragon, enters the battlefield, exile 3 cards at random from your graveyard, choose a non-creature, non-land card from among them, and copy it. You may cast copy without paying its mana cost. So obviously some pretty busted things you can do with that. Get that one set aside because we're definitely going to want to sleeve that. Karumonix, the Rat King. People are very excited about building this deck. Rats remains one of the really popular tribes in Magic the Gathering. So it's pretty funny that after all this time, we get a legend like this and people are still really excited about it. And I'm for it. And Azuri, Stalker of Spheres, in that fantastic foil art, Ichor borderless. Very sweet. Very sweet. Go ahead and sleeve up Azuri there. And we'll just take a second to sleeve these up. And then we'll get into our last few packs. Fantastic. Again, I just want to remind everybody, if you are a Canadian resident who is a fan of all things trading cards, please follow the link in the description below to check out ZephyrEpic.com for incredible deals on cards, accessories, box breaks, and beyond. If you happen to live in the Lower Mainland area, we do invite you to come down to our Zephyr Epic retail store too, where you can play some games, hang out with some of the staff, and just chat cards. We love what we do, so we'd love to see you there. Another Skull Bomb there. Communion. Serum Core Chimera. These cards are slippery, I have to say. They're just sliding all over the place. There's our island. Wow, Luca. Now, some people are saying that this is pretty reminiscent of one of the old Garuks. And I would have to agree. It is a very cool ability, though. It does get you mana. It does create creatures, and it does deal damage. So, I mean, pretty efficient little guy there. Bloated Contaminator. Pretty cool. When it deals combat damage to a player, you get to proliferate. It's got Trample, and it's got Toxic 1. So people are going to be incentivized to block it so that they don't get the Toxic. But it's most likely going to deal damage. 3 mana, 4/4, probably going to get through. Might Overseer. As long as it's your turn, creature tokens you control get +1/+0 and have first strike. That's pretty awesome ability. Create a 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might. Pretty good rate. Sawblade Scamp. Rustvine Cultivator. Quicksilver Fisher in that Step-and-Compleat foil that we are so excited about. Wow, cool. Look at the way that glimmers, eh? Wow. Kaito. So we're getting all the walkers today, hey? Wow. So this is another borderless manga card. So you can see it's Kaito reimagined as a Phyrexian. And yeah, got some pretty cool abilities there. And last, wow, look at that. Borderless Foil Phyrexian Arena. This is a fantastic reprint, and I know people are very excited about it. This is long overdue, and it's pretty cool that now we can get this into the standard format. At the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card and lose a life. This is a staple in Commander. People do really adore this card. It's certainly one that I play myself, and we haven't seen it reprinted in a while, so it's nice to be able to bring that price down on the secondary market, but also just have more access to it for those that do play Commander. Okay, we're getting into the last 3 packs here. Let's see what we get. We're just going to flip all these commons here. There's our first uncommon, Font of Progress. We've seen that one already. And Necrogen Rot Priest, seen that one already. There's our island. Very cool. Copperline Gorge. This is pretty sick because the reprinting of these cards does mean that they're now legal in Pioneer. And Pioneer hasn't necessarily struggled as far as mana bases go. But for decks that are quite quick. It's cool to get these reprinted where you can, you know, if you have 2 or fewer lands and you have this in your opening hand, it's going to be pretty awesome to be able to slam this down as a dual land in the first couple turns. So very exciting to have those reprinted. There's another Rot Priest. Or that might be our first Rot Priest. This is just a card I know. It's got Toxic 1. It's 1 green pip, and it's a 1/2, which is fantastic rate already. It's non-legendary, which means you can have multiples. Whenever a creature you control becomes the target of a spell, target opponent gets a poison counter. Roar of Resistance. So this is again from one of the commander decks. Creature tokens you control have haste. For 2 mana, pretty great enchantment. Whenever one or more creatures attack, period, you may pay 2, 1 and a red. If you do, creatures attacking your opponents and or planeswalkers they control get +2/+0. So that's actually a pretty awesome little anthem type ability. And the fact that it gives all your creatures haste is obviously pretty efficient too. Quicksilver Fisher. Rustvine Cultivator. Step-and-Compleat. Mirror Convert. Very cool. Slowbad. Welcome back. And the Eternal Wanderer. This is what I'm saying. It looks like we're getting pretty much all of the planeswalkers. We're just shy of, I guess Vraska is one of them. And there might only be 1 or 2 more. But the Eternal Wanderer, again, this is a reimagined art card. She is not a Phyrexian, I will say. But it's a Borderless manga card. No more than 1 creature can attack the Eternal Wanderer each combat is the ability on here that makes it pretty insane. The fact that it's tough to kill is going to make it very, very powerful. Not to mention the fact that it does flicker things. I guess a delayed flicker. And it gets to create blockers for itself that have double strikes. So, hey, not bad at all. I think that is going to end up being a standard all-star as far as the top end goes. And just a card that's going to be almost unbeatable once you get up into the higher mana late in the game. We'll just flip through these commons again. Down to our last few packs here. There's some uncommons. Nice Phyrexian Mountain there. Okay. Blade of Shared Souls. We've seen that one already. Argentum Masticore. Don't need a retouch on that guy. Glistener Sphere. Enters the battlefield tapped. Enters the battlefield proliferate. Pretty cool for 3 mana. Add 1 mana of any color, even though it's tapped. Still pretty good. And then add 3 mana of any color if an opponent has 3 or more poison counters. So it could be pretty efficient. Bladed Ambassador. Sinew Dancer. And Step-and-Compleat. Ooh, Karmonix, the Rat King. That's pretty cool to get in that Step-and-Compleat foil. Obviously, people would be looking for this exact version if they're trying to build the commander deck, because this is going to be one of those shiny alternatives that people do enjoy so much in their command zone. And there's a Copperline Gorge, huh? Look at that. Borderless. Regular, huh? Not too bad. Pretty sweet. So let's leave that guy up. And last but not least, we got Miglos, Maze Crusher. So we got another one of those Miglos. Pretty cool. We've already gone over his power level. And we know that, you know, as far as sealed and, you know what? I've actually seen some people testing the card in standard too. Primarily using cards from this set because you do need to get the oil to be able to make it good. But it is a great card. It can do a lot of things. And anything that has versatility in Magic is going to be used in the most versatile way, isn't it? Okay, there's Chrome Prowler. This is our last pack here. Thrill of Possibility in this fantastic new artwork featuring Nahiri, who's combating with herself, turning into a Phyrexian. Common there, and then we're going to go into, wow, look at the powerhouse of this dude. Ogre Rebel. Popular wisdom says that Phyrexians don't feel fear, but popular wisdom has never tried to get a bridge. Try to hold a bridge against an angry ogre. Ain't that the truth? Tamiya's Logbook. There's our Phyrexian Swamp. Or I guess new Phyrexia Swamp. There's another one of those lands, Razorverge Thicket. So enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or fewer other lands. Which, if I'm not mistaken, that means that if this is your 3rd land, it does come in untapped. So pretty efficient. We've seen this buddy, the Flamestoker. Mirage Mockery. Choose 1, create a token that's copy of target artifact creature you control. Create a token that's copy of target non-artifact creature you control. Or you can entwine it and do both of them. Again, from the commander deck, you can tell by the symbol. Sawblade Scamp, welcome back. This is Quicksilver Fisher. And this is going to be our last Step-and-Compleat Bone Picker Scourge. There's our Thrun, reimagined again as a borderless manga card. Very cool. Wow, I didn't even know this was in the set. Very sweet to see him as a Phyrexian. And last card, wow, Conduit of Worlds. This card is actually insane. So you may play lands from your graveyard. It's I should mention, it's the borderless foil. It costs 2 and green. Choose target non-land permanent card in your graveyard. If you haven't cast a spell this turn, you may cast that card. If you do, you can't cast additional spells this turn. Activate only as a sorcery. But even just its static ability to let you play lands from your graveyards is very, very powerful. Everyone knows what Crucible Worlds does. It does exactly the same ability, but Crucible Worlds is a colorless card, so it does make it a little bit easier to cast. Okay, so that was a full box of Phyrexia All V1 collector booster packs. Let's quickly go over what we got here. So I am curious. I think we're only missing the single Planeswalker from the set. It might be a couple more than I think. Yeah. Okay, look at that. So it should be 10 in the set. So we got Kaya, 1. Nissa. Tyvar, that's 3. Jace. And then we got another Tyvar, which I think maybe threw me off a little bit. There's Kaito, Luca, and the Eternal Wanderer. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're pretty close. Pretty sweet to get all of those in there. And Atraxa is a fantastic hit. This card is seeing a lot of experimentation right now because of its unique ability. Other notable cards, we've got a couple of lands, which are fantastic. We got a Conduit of Worlds. There's our lands there, the Copperline Gorges. Fantastic. Phyrexian Arena, borderless. Awesome card. Got this cool Kumonix. And one of the coolest cards that I think that I didn't know about was this Othari, Sun's Glory. I think this card is awesome. The fact that anything that has multiple keywords like this, sweet and simple, I'm a big fan of that. Let's go. All right, y'all. So not too bad. We only got the one Phyrexian Horror. I would have loved to see multiples of these. But hey, we can't really complain with getting 7 awesome Planeswalkers and this great Atraxa and this fantastic artwork. And we'll just quickly just rummage through our rares here too. Very cool stuff. I want to thank you all for joining me today. Again, if you're a Canadian resident who's a fan of all things trading cards, please follow the link in the description below to check out ZephyrEpic.com for incredible deals on cards, accessories, box breaks, and beyond. Much more content coming soon. I am 11 Earl, signing off. Thanks very much, y'all.